Hi, this is a review of my Hustler Raptor SD lawnmower with a 48-inch deck on it. Yep, it's a Hustler Raptor SD. There is a Hustler Raptor. Primary difference is the Raptor has, I think, a blade tip speed of about 16,000 feet per minute, while this one is around 18,600 feet per minute, roughly. Has a 3-gallon tank, but the internet seems to say that's about 2.5 gallons. I have this mower currently set up for mulching. I have the mulch cap, the chute cap, that's metal, on there, along with the baffles per blade. There's 3 spinning blades on this thing. I think they're about 16.5 inches each underneath that deck. It is a fabricated deck. And as you can see, the belt covers are not readily removable unless you pull out I think a 10mm socket. One of the tweaks I have planned for this mower is I'm going to get some winged threaded screws. Basically, threaded screws with big plastic knobs on them, so I can just undo that and take those bolts off and blow out any grass that gets up under there. Other people have been known to actually cut slits inside that cover near the middle there around the hump to allow their blowers just to go in and blow out, allow air to get in there. It's been a great machine, you know. I just recently did the mulch conversion, so I haven't used it in mulch mode yet. Up to now, I was using it in side discharge mode. You see the discharge chute over there. And I'll tell you, when this thing was putting out clippings, I never had to follow up really to blow out the clippings on the grass. It did a really good job of distributing the clippings. A couple of things I've done since I've got this mower. I don't think it was really set up too well at the dealer that I bought it from. So I went through the procedure of setting the PSI on the tires to about 10 PSI. They say anywhere from 8 to 12 is good. I think it was at 13 to 14 PSI when I got it. I took some 3-inch blocks and dropped the deck on them and leveled the deck out. I say use 3-inch blocks front and rear right around the mounting points under the deck, and set the height of the deck engagement or deck height adjustment to H, which in this case is 3.25 inches, and that effectively will set the mower blades at 3 inches on the front. Funny enough, when you do that, it turns out there's about 1/4 inch of extra material on the back, on the rear edge of this deck inherently. So if you use 3-inch blocks front and rear, you're going to automatically get your forward tipping rake of 1/4 inch from front to back with respect to the mower blades, which is cool. Let's see here. I only have about a little bit less than 4.5 hours on this mower so far. So I haven't done the first oil change yet. Although I do have my 2 quarts of Kohler 10W30 oil and a new filter ready to go, plus a electric fuel pump to extract the oil. I'd recommend, if you're looking at this mower, you should just grab two extra quarts of oil and a filter while you're at the shop, because that first oil change only happens 5 hours in, and it comes up pretty quick. Between, you know, if you're new to zero-turn mowers like I am, then it'll take a bit to get used to steering, else what have you. But essentially, 5 hours catches up with you quick. The mower did not come with the engine guard, so I ordered that. It's pretty cool. I like it. Also, it did not come with a heat shield, so I purchased the heat shield that Hustler sells for this mower. I did burn my grass just a little bit in 1 or 2 spots in the back, so I was happy to get the heat shield. Also, one interesting point. When I bought the shield, there was a black metal piece that actually made it up with the tow hitch at the back, and just provided 5 bolts. 1, 2. There's another 2 on the other side, and then a 5th bolt to go right there. And I decided that I really would rather have my tow hitch available. So I took my 18-inch metal bender, and I bent that tongue up and into this area. I don't know if you can see it here. It's kind of bent right there. You see that hole? That's the tongue that would have otherwise made it up there, and just bent it up into this space. So this heat shield's dangling on 4 bolts instead of 5, but that's okay. I was looking at some other mowers, and they tend to have their heat shields just kind of sticking out the back also. So I'm good with it. It's a Kohler 7000 Series Pro engine, pushing out 25 horsepower. Feels great. More than enough speed for me, and enough power to cut through what I have. I've been a little bit lax on my initial cuts in springtime, where I was cutting every 7 days as opposed to every 5, so I had a little bit of overgrowth, but it was nothing that this thing could not handle. This thing was awesome. These are, I think, 20-inch wheels on here. I think they're 8.5-inch wide. Let's see what we have here. Is that true? Where's the width of the tire? I think that's it right there. No? Oh, where is it? I don't see it. Is that it? I don't see it. But I think there's 20 by 8.5. That's for whatever the spec calls for. I'll admit that on the 54 and 60-inch deck version of this, these back tires are a bit wider, and it is cool looking. But, you know, narrower deck, less width, it's all good. It works out. You still have a decent trim edge to get up on the edge of your property. Like I said, this thing is cut like a champ so far. Maybe I think I'll post some video of cut results soon. But amazing mower. I actually have an side incline. I really like the fact this thing sits pretty low, and I can just cut across the face of my incline with very little worry or concern, compared to my rider, where I kind of had to almost shift out of my seat up the hill to prevent it from flipping over on me. But I'm excited about this thing. Great piece of equipment. Looking forward to seeing how it mulches compared to side discharge. And that box has my bagger kit in it, which will come in handy come the fall. One other thing I noticed, I was kind of torn, and I'm willing to be corrected on this or take opinion. These are the original blades for it. And I kind of found these blades to be a little dull right off the bat. I was right on the fence of using my Dremel tool to sharpen those edges up to something like, sharp enough to cut my finger if I ran my finger across it. But I don't know. Some people say maybe that's not the greatest thing because it'll dull really quickly if you do that versus what it's like when it comes from the shop. So I kind of left it alone. Plus, to be honest, I didn't see the cut of the grass was pretty good right off the bat, so I kind of left it. Oh, and by the way, that's my Mojack. Actually, it's rebranded as a Cub Cadet HTL 550. Basically, this thing, as you can see, is folded up nice and compact, but I can lay it out in front of the front wheels of this Hustler and jack it up. Obviously, I used it to do my mulch kit conversion. But yeah, great mower. I'm looking forward to years of service. It has a ZT 2800 transmissions in it, so it should be good for hauling my buckets of gravel or whatever I have going on around my yard as I get into my different landscaping projects. But that's the deal. So more on this later. I think I'll post a video of when I hook up the oil extractor and change the oil in this thing. But if you have questions, please post. I'd be glad to do any in-depth review. Although I think the landscaping guys have these Hustlers pretty much well documented. But I'm excited. Oh yeah, one thing that I kind of want to do is put either a 12-volt cigarette lighter socket on this thing or a USB, like a marine grade USB output port, so I can throw my cell phone and plug it in these pockets. while I'm using this thing. But that's the story right now. No one else I can tell you. It is a floating deck. There's basically 6 pins that keep that deck under the mower. And I was looking carefully at it. There's no, unlike my Craftsman Rider mower where there was actual cables and what have you that just hooked up to the deck directly. Really and truthfully, what's going on under this thing is all you really have is the drive belt coming into that deck. And it's probably, for you guys who are old hat at zero-turn mowers, it's probably not new news for you. But once you disconnect the drive belt, all you're left to do is pull these 1, 2, 3, and there's another 3 quick disconnect pins. And I say 3 as in 1, 2, and then there's a lock pin on that, 3. Same deal on the other side, and the deck is free. So it's a matter of dislodging the drive belt, pulling those 3 disconnects, and off you go. You have a free deck you can slide out and do servicing on if you so choose to. Also, what's something kind of cool I noticed is that there's mounting screws here on the back, mounting holes on the back there for a striper if you wanted to just mount something like of your own making or something from Hustler or a third party, just to go help to stripe your grass if you wanted to. But so far, this thing has done a pretty good job at striping the grass, especially now that I had it set up. What else can I tell you? One thing people were talking about is that underneath that mulch plug, the rear end of the output, the chute output, is actually at an angle, like a triangle. And sometimes right in the corner, the chute could start to accumulate grass. Now, I only experienced that slightly. I certainly did not clog my chute. And I suspect at those times when I started to accumulate grass, I actually had the mower, the engine throttle around there. And my reason for doing that was more along the lines to reduce the velocity of the clippings that are being ejected, because right about here is how close I would have been to a mower bed, and I didn't really want to dump a whole bunch of grass clippings into that mulch bed. Aside from that, I really haven't experienced much of chute plugging, especially after the deck was leveled, such that you get the right airflow going up under there. But yep, that's the deal. Hustler Raptor SD, pretty decent piece of equipment. Excited to be using it, and that seat's incredibly comfortable. One thing I'd have to say is it'd be nice if that were more of a quick adjust seat. But basically, in order to adjust this seat, you have to undo those bolts and slide the seat where you would like it to be. That's an interesting point. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm not going to complain, because at the end of the day, with my old mower, for the most part, once I set the seat, I very rarely ever revisited shifting it around. Once it's kind of set, it's kind of forgotten about, and that's that. So it's really neither here nor there. Also here, it is a little tight in terms of getting at that oil filter. And if you'll notice, right here, right there, that is the oil drain plug. Where you hook up, the mower comes with they include a piece of rubber hose, which is probably about 10 inches long, I think, to a foot long. And you plug it into that nipple right there, this nipple right here. And you undo this bolt, and you have the flow of oil. Undo this bolt right here, and you have the flow of oil. As I've mentioned, I've instead chosen to get myself a electric oil extractor and simply plug that in, send it down that chute, and pull the oil out of the top of the engine to keep the mess down to a minimum, and then probably just throw a rag under that oil filter and pull it when I'm ready. But that's the deal. That's my short review of a Hustler Raptor SD with a 48-inch deck. Really excited about this thing. I think I'm about 3 cuts in, have about a third of an acre property. Oh yes, the reason I went with a 48-inch deck is because I live in a residential neighborhood where I have sidewalks, and of course you have the regular lawn and the strip of lawn off, along the sidewalk. And my sidewalks are 48 to 49 inches wide, the concrete strips. And I decided that I did not want to have to choose. With a wider deck, I would have probably had to choose which side, which segment of grass I was going to buzz cut as I rolled down the sidewalk. And I just decided that's not something I wanted to deal with. And so I went with a 48. Else I probably would have gone with a 54. But that's the deal. And it fits really nicely in my shed, even with the actual chute on. Well, comments, questions, please feel free to post them. But that is a quick blow by blow of my Raptor SD, Hustler Raptor SD. Quick shout out to Suburban Lawn and Power up in Delaware, Wilmington, Delaware. They were really helpful with getting this mower to me, and appreciate it. All right, take care.